Hey guys, and welcome to this Legion Tower Defense 2 Patchnotes rundown. This time, patch 7.04, we have some new things to look at, which is first, we got a campaign. So to all the players that like to play solo or that are new to the game, this is probably something addressing to you. And we have a new Mercenary, the Imp. So let's have a look at it. First of all, again, we see the winners of the Diamond Division, a in-house league by the community. If you are one of the top players and want to take part in some competition, check out the Legion in-house league Grandmaster Division, which is the top tier division. I will link it down in the description. Next on, we have new feature, the campaign. We will get 7 missions with 3 modes, so you can earn up to 3 stars in each of them. Where you gain some bonus essence. I don't know how they look like. I haven't found any details yet, but I'm really looking forward to see the campaign, to play it, even though I'm not really a solo player or not really into campaigns or stuff usually, but I'm obviously gonna do a campaign stream as soon as it's out. Really looking forward to it. And somewhere, where was it? It's introducing the first campaign map, which at least sounds to me that there's like a lot of maps coming, which would be a cool thing. I really enjoy this part in Hearthstone, for example, all the time to have a campaign coming, I don't know, every 6 months. Next on, the new Mercenary, the Imp. Most of you probably recognize it. It's the Imp that the haters did spawn until 2 patches ago. Mythium costs 100 with 25 income. Means it's not an income mercenary, so keep that in mind when sending it. But finally we get the magic melee mercenary we were all waiting for. Until now there was no magic melee mercenary, there was not a tank. Dragon Turtle was the option there. And it's really necessary to have it. And it has a lot of attack speed and a lot of attack damage, so the DPS is quite high. On top of this, it has an ability which is the Diabolic Duo. Imps spawn in pairs, which I think it's going to be, you buy 1 imp, you get 2. So I'm really looking forward to see this. I haven't tested it yet, but the damage stats, they really scare me, especially for 100 gold, because take the DPS and then multiply it by 2. It's gonna be insane damage output. I'm a little bit worried about this, so there might be nerfs coming. I can't comment too much on this yet though. If you're interested in some improvements about classic, or if you're a new player, a lower elo player, new player, all this, read this stuff yourself. Link for the patch notes is obviously in the description. There's a lot of improvements that might target you. Next on, something I really like because it will address any cups or league games, for example, is the pause button in custom games. It's not there in ranked yet, but there's a pause button in custom games, which would be really good. If somebody disconnects in a tournament or a cup or anything like this, you can just pause until he's able to reconnect. So I really like this feature here. Some more improvements to pathing targeting, some quality of life stuff. I'm not going to go through all this because we're here discussing mainly balance and new units. As I said, if you're interested in this, go check it out. So there's some adjustments to Mastermind. So some units, for example, the Windhawk, Honeyflower and all those, don't only count as natural swift defense. So if you have a Honeyflower, this is not the only natural swift tank you will get. Same for some fortified natural units, you can read them here. But what I think is the most interesting is that redraw, the Mastermind option, is now gaining starting income. So it goes up from 3 to 4, which is actually insanely interesting. I haven't done the maths for all openers yet, but the main point why you take greed is not that you get 2 more gold, because if you have a look at it, like you get 20 gold more than redraw until wave 10. This doesn't really matter. It's more about it enables some 5 worker openers you were not able to do before. And with some of them now being able to be played with the redraw, it might actually get super interesting, because the redraw obviously allows you to have 2 more rolls to look at, to either adjust into a direction you feel more confident with playing, or just to get another roll when you have like real trash. And if you're then able to pick some 5-worker openers that are able to do with redraw, it might be really interesting to have a look at. I'm gonna do the maps, but I think this could be game changing, and I might be favored again to take a redraw after I changed from redraw to creditor due to those 5-worker reasons. Next one, we have some hybrid changes. This is only for classic players. I'm not playing classic, same as dual building or 4v4. So let's go on and have a look at the Legion spells. First, we have Lizard Army, Mythium gained from 40 to 45. Lizard Army was the worst spell for a long time, like 1 or 2 seasons ago. Since then, it got buffed over and over again. And I have this feeling that Lizard Army is now already in a good state. And with this change, it might actually be the strongest, maybe after Audit of Assault, the strongest aggressive spell in the game. Because you're not forced to send like 11, 12, but you can send big 13 or 14, for example. 14 if you like, you make them believe you're going 13 because of the lizards, and then you go 14, or there's a lot of mind games involved. So I really like is Lizard Army like this. Next on Overwork, by far the worst aggressive spell. The reduction rate of workers is now reduced from 40 to 35% on wave 12. I'm not sure if this is still worth it, because Overwork, maybe you need like 15, 17 workers at the moment to be worth it, and in the best case, along wave 11. That's not always the case, so I'm unsure about this still. Protector getting some regeneration buffs. I don't know. I haven't played Protector in a long time, I guess. Venture getting some nerfs, which is okay, I guess. Venture is by far one of the best spells to pick, at least, if you're having a good roll for 11 and 12. And now you can gain 15 gold less, which is alright. It's not too bad. It is alright. That's the changes for the Legion spells. I really like all of them, actually. Especially Lizard Army and Venture. They look really interesting to me. Next on, we're having the Fighters. Bone Warrior. This is a drastic damage nerf from 7 to 6 damage. This is huge for a tier 1 unit. I don't know. To be honest, I'm not the biggest Bone Warrior player, so I can't comment too much on this, but this is a huge change. This is like, how many percent are this? 12 to 15%. I don't want to say a dumb number now. Which could be really harmful for some builds that relied on Bone Warriors as damage dealers on wave 2, for example. Next on, we're having the Consort. The passive damage is reduced by 20. I think it's a fair change, since Consort is a very strong unit, and it would feel bad to nerf its stats, because then it's probably not going to be played anymore. So I really like the change to its passive rather than to its stats. Next one, we're having some Gargoyle changes. Gargoyle getting nerfed by damage. It's okay, because I personally felt like Gargoyle is very strong 1 to 3. 1 to 4, I mean, sorry for that. So I feel fine with this. Next one, we're having Devilfish, and this is a change I really like, because personally I feel like Gargoyle is a trash unit, because A, it's arcane magic, so on arcane waves where you want it as a defense, 50% of those waves it's trash because of its attack type. Second, because of its passive, it's not really good in the late game, so it's not really good for 14, 15 anyway, and it's like the best for a starter because of the reduction, and then for 7 and 8. And this was changed now, so the flat reduction is going down from 2 to 1, but the overall health is going up to make it a little bit stronger. They say it here after waves 5. I will believe Jules, obviously. So I really like this change, even though I still don't think Green Devil is one of the best arcane units out there. Next on, hey, we're having Angler. Well, I don't think you need to buff Angler. I would rather see a bounty hunter buff, because bounty hunter is just so awful. That doesn't mean that anglers aren't awful, but you still want to upgrade them. And you have to work with an upgraded angler with a bounty hunter until you get the kingpin soon. So yeah, I don't know. I would really like to see a bounty hunter change rather than an angler change. Next on, some adjustments to recommended value, which I'm not sure about. So now the fighter value increases by 1 per mana. I am unsure if you actually take the fighter value of a kingpin, which is a little bit more than 400. How much is it? 415? And then add 1 per stack. If that's the case, it can be close to 700. And the kingpin is not worth 700 value. So I would actually like to be like the kingpin. Let's say it is the 415 value it has without stacks, and then like the first 80 stacks are like no changer, and after that it changes per mana, because this is actually a noob trap, I think, because your value is insanely high, but you are not you're not even close to be that strong. This is a huge noob trap, so I really dislike this change. There should be a gap where until then there's no change, and after that there's a change, but this is a huge trap. Next on, finally nerfing Pyro. It's so boring at the moment to play against AoE all the time. That's kind of why I lost interest at the moment, because you just feel like you have to force AoE if you have it in your role. So I really like the changes. I'm not sure if it's enough. I would be fine killing Pyros. Once again, they just feel way too strong at the moment. Next on, Rangers getting a buff. It's only a small buff for how trash they actually are, so I don't know if that's enough. Next on, the Daphne, it's passive. The mark target is now increasing from 10 to 20, which could be really interesting on boss waves and on waves where you have like harpies, where you have like Zeus, stuff like this. I'm just unsure, because for 10 stacks, at the moment you need to build 4 of them. So I would see 8 Daphnes being to build to reach 20 stacks. And personally, I cannot find any scenario where you will be happy to have 8 Daphnes. So I'm unsure about this change, because Daphnes are just trash overall, and like the only good thing is a synergy, but to have the synergy you have to like invest close to 200 gold for every Daphne. So I'm not really sure if you want this. So I still don't see them play too much. Next on, Harpy Sky Queens, both reduced damage but increase attack speed, and they gain less mana from moving forward. All those changes lead towards Sky Queens being better with buffs, being better with steeds, being better as a solo unit, because they don't rely too much on this moving aspect anymore. Especially Sky Queens, they now gain a lot more mana just by attacking, which is insane. So maybe now there's a time where you shift from not having a split with Sky Queens towards having a split with Sky Queens. I'm gonna test this out for sure, because I love Sky Queens. The unit design is really cool. And they hit their maximum stacks a lot faster. So I'm really looking forward to see this and test this especially. And well, if you watch my streams, you will be updated about all this part. Next on, the one unit that brought all the problems to Legion we have at the moment, the Sacred Seed and Pegasus. It's so hard to balance this unit, just because it's such a game changer to so many of those units. This means we have some more adjustments. You see them here. I won't tell you my feelings about all of them, so just about some. For example, Harpy, I like this. I really do like the change to Radiant Halo, so maybe it's a better opener now. And one thing I really want to mention, I'm worried there's no change to Hades, because Hades with Thananos is just so strong at the moment. I feel it might need a little nerf, even though it's already not that great with Pegasus because its mana pool is just gigantic. Next, we have a change hitting my heart directly. Nerfs to Varg and Alpha Male. Varg and Alpha Male is just such a strong unit if you have some good comps. Units with perfect value. If you don't know what units with perfect value is, those are the units buffing the Lioness, not debuffing the Alpha Male. Mainly it's T3 units. If you had a good role like this, Vargs were stomping. So I can feel the changes. I still don't like them out of obvious reasons, but I think it's okay to have them. Next on, changing Graal once again. So it's 2 hitting wave 2, which felt really painful to league wave 2 to a no send. I'm not sure if you still do this. I don't think so. But this opens up some more Graal early game plays. Always keep in mind, I see this so often, Graal is not a unit. So if you want Graal for the stats, and you have the choice between a Graal, for example, or an Antler, or a Golden Buckler, especially Golden Buckler is the best example there, always use the others, because Graal has so much of its value in the selling ability that it's not really worth it, at least golden HP wise. Damage and HP wise, to build it. So if you build a Graal, you want it to be value in a wave, to sell it afterwards, to not risk the shift problematic. This is where you build a Graal for, or you upgrade it to a King Claw or Ocean Templar. But you never build Graal in the early game and just leave it there, because then you just, you lost a lot of value and you just overpaid a lot. Next on, that's another part where I'm a little bit worried, is buffs to Honeyflower and Death Caps. I want this AoE to be dead. It feels so oppressive at the moment. Yes, Pyro's a lot stronger than Honeyflower at the moment, just because of it being a really good opener. You have a lot more options to build with it. But still, AoE felt so stomping at the moment, and it's really not fun to play against AoE all the time. I don't know about this change here. Next on, we're having Tempests. Tempests felt awful at the moment, so I really like the changes they're made towards their passives. So this is not affecting flying units, so no buff for wave 4 and 17, for example. Really looking forward to see this. But here, the damage buff to Leviathan, this is obviously damage that also reaches flying waves. Next on, Pilgrim, which is quite a good change. Healing now costs 1 mana less, can be really effective in the early game. Really looking forward to test Pilgrim with some builds, like mainly Varcom with Pilgrim synergizes very well, because tier 3 units are just in a good range that you can build enough of them in the early game, and they're not having such a small HP pool that they die before you can get a heal and all that stuff, so they look in a really good spot to synergize. Having an eye on this. But the next thing, like Lost Chieftain, I don't know where we started with the damage, but I personally feel like the damage was doubled in the last year for Lost Chieftain, and still almost nobody plays it, just because the ability is so forcing you in such a weird corner that you have to build. It's good with some units, for example, Banana Bunk, Asaria, Yosora and stuff like this, but that's about it. Usually you want to buff like your carries, your doppelganger, your kingpin. You might want to buff a fatalizer, all that, but those units will never be at the front of your build, which will let them never receive this buff. So let's see how this is going to end up. I mean, the changes are huge. Just look at this. This is over 10% damage buff just for nothing. We had almost the same change last time. I think it was 5 damage back then. Like, the damage is getting higher and higher. The HP was higher. I think Lost Chieftain is now twice as good as it was released when the changes were made. So this is just crazy. Next on, Radiant Halo, increase attack speed, which is interesting because keep in mind that its ability is actually doubling the attack speed. So with its ability, it's not a 0.4 increase, but a 0.8 increase, which is a lot more interesting. All right, next on, Priestess of the Abyss. We have some yeah, quite good. Health increases, attack speed is increased. Again, the passive, or like the spell, increases attack speed, keep it in mind, but now it heals less per second, which is quite a lot. So 5% less heal, maximum HP. Gonna test it out, but if we're able to play Priest of Good, it is just so powerful because it's not 190 value, but it might be up to 400 value in an early game wave. So this is just a monster unit. I really have to work out my skills with it again, but yeah. Next on, Banana Bunk getting nerfed, especially due to it being OP 7 and 8. So more HP, less reflect damage. Same for Haven. I really like the Haven scenario because the Haven reflect was kind of useless, especially the flat damage, which is now getting reduced on later waves. But you really wanted it to tank, and I mean this here is 1k HP you get. Alright, you get 1k HP plus you get 18 damage. This is insane buffs, so I'm really looking forward for this. Haven might be super OP now. Next on, Hate is getting only a little nerf. I talked about this before, but it's only a little nerf, as I said. Millennium, attack speed nerf. We have nerfs to the passive. Millennium was spiking for a short second. I personally feel like the spike is going down very, very soon and nobody will play Doomsday anymore because those nerfs are drastic. Like, just look at the Doomsday damage nerfed, attack speed. Oh, this is a small buff, never mind. I said this wrong, but it's still not too critical. But then you still have the AoE nerfed, so this is huge. Next, Hellgates. They're in a really poor spot at the moment because they take quite long till they resummon, even with some good auras. Damage getting increased by 2%. I'm not sure if this is bringing them back, probably not. Hey, this is just the better gate at the moment, and everybody knows. Last but not least, I see it's already 22 minutes. I'm sorry, but the patch is just so huge and there's so much to talk about. There's Mercenaries. And yeah, we start with two changes I personally don't like. So first, the healing aura is now changed from flat plus percentual damage to flat damage only. This is making Hermit a way harder early game send, but way weaker in late game, especially on waves where the HP was just so gigantic that a Hermit was worth so much more than 80 Mythium. This might be interesting, but it might just counter some builds in the early game. For example, Aqua's a little bit too hard and might be not that powerful anymore to send for 80 Mythium in the late game. And a Hermit was a good counter in the late game to have, or to counter AoE spam. Yeah, I liked it. Same for Mole, a lot more DPS and health. Like, this is insane changes, but the safety Mole aura is getting reduced from 4 to 3. This is exactly the opposite. So this is a lot better for AoE units in the early game and the late game, but it's pressuring a lot more by its huge health pool and the enormous damage it's bringing now. Personally don't like this. Mole was a really good counter, especially with the changes to Honeyflower being a little bit better. We have Sky Queens being a lot more into the race. We have Tempest getting buffed again, so a lot of units that have like spread damage or fast attacks. Daphnes, you want synergies with fast attack speed for Daphnes, for example. I don't like the Mole change here, to be honest. Not at all. Like, I don't like those two changes. I would have actually liked them just stay the same, and maybe even have Mole with percentual effect, like a super small percentual effect. All right, wave changes. Now there's giving AoE weaknesses by making boss waves league more punishing, and there's a change to 18, which I love because this was one idea. Like, I didn't really have it because it just changed the wave I had the idea on. People wanted to be 17 change. I said it's a lot smarter to do it 18. And they're shifting away from partial bounty on non-buffs, but the bosslings, like the mini bosses. So first of all, partial bounty changed on 10 and 20, and the partial bounty from the mini bosses is now away from 5, 15 and 21. Next on 4 getting a buff. 4 was already really strong, especially like this against Pyro though. It will feel hard for some other openers though, for example Gateguard, Oathbreaker and all those. 4 strong wave. Next on 5 buff, so 4 and 5 a lot more power, but therefore shifting some power away from 6. Like the changes are super small, especially to 6. Maybe it could have been like 0.78 and stuff like this, because 6 is always like a huge fuck up if you're having bad aggro and the rockers are just critting. Yeah, 6 is super RNG. We can sum it up like this, and this feels really punishing in some situations. Next one, buffs to 13, nerfs to 14. I don't know, like personally I don't feel like 14 is so strong at the moment, but apparently it is, because there were nerfs for 14 last patch already. I'm fine with this, and I'm fine with giving 15 more power, because 15 is a boss wave, and after 15 there's this gap with a double worker. So 15 really has to be a key wave, even though it's sometimes really hard to hold, because sometimes the boss goes right, even though it shouldn't. Like sometimes the boss is a little bit tricky to predict. Next on, nerfs to 16. 16 was a monster wave if you didn't have AoE, so I really like those changes. And now last but not least, we have wave 18 changes. And the basic approach was you have 6 and 13 being waves with only half of the minions, which is 6, but therefore they have a lot better stats. And people in the Discord were discussing about it being 17 to hard counter AoE, but I was more like, why don't we do it to 18? Because 18 already has like a passive spell, and this would fit a lot better to a unit that is like, there's only a few from them, but there's a special ability which has every third hit it's dealing magic damage. And exactly that happens. So we have obviously huge damage buffs. It's not quite doubled, but this is out of other reasons. We have damage increase, we have attack speed increase. This is one of these reasons, for example. And now the poison attack is now not every third spell, not 150 magic damage anymore, but it is 300 magic damage every fourth stack. So there's a lot more damage output, even though it's not that often, and can be really punishing. I really do like this wave 18 change. This is like the biggest movement against AoE, especially when Pyros and Flowers were like monsters in 18 and just melting the wave. It's a lot different now, especially for Pyros, since they deal flat damage. Flowers can still be around as powerful because they have percentual damage as well, but I didn't test it yet, so that's just my thoughts about it. Well, to everybody who's still here, you're crazy, absolutely. Make sure to check out either the other guides or to watch my Twitch. It's linked in the description. We're gonna play the campaign as soon as it's out. For any further questions, comment here or ask me in Twitch. Have a good one. Good luck in your ranked games, and bye bye. See you next time.